On November 16, 2001, one of the most brilliant microbiologists in the world vanished without a trace. Dr. Don C. Wiley, a Harvard professor and leading expert on how the immune system fights viral infections, was attending a banquet in Memphis, Tennessee. His rental car was found abandoned on the Hernando de Soto Bridge with the engine still running and a full tank of gas. His body wasn't recovered from the Mississippi River until a month later. Authorities ruled it an accident, claiming he became dizzy and fell over the railing. But colleagues found this impossible to believe. Dr. Wiley was in perfect health, had no history of depression, and the bridge railing stood over 4 feet high. His death became the first domino in a chain that would terrify the scientific community. Dr. Wiley's death was shocking enough on its own, but within weeks, it was joined by a cascade of others that defied any statistical probability. On November 21st, just 5 days later, Dr. Benito Quay, a cell biologist at the University of Miami Medical School, was found comatose outside his laboratory. He died shortly after. Police initially said he had been beaten with a baseball bat, then quietly changed the cause of death to cardiac arrest. On December 10, 2001, Dr. Robert Schwartz, a renowned DNA sequencing pioneer in Leesburg, Virginia, was found stabbed to death in his home with a sword. Authorities arrested his daughter and her friends, calling it a bizarre ritual killing. But those who knew Dr. Schwartz's classified government work suspected a far more calculated motive. The deaths weren't confined to America. On November 23, 2001, Dr. Set van Nguyen, a microbiologist at CSIRO's Australian Animal Health Laboratory, was found dead inside an airlock at his own facility in Geelong, Australia. Officials said he entered a storage area that was filled with nitrogen gas and suffocated. But colleagues pointed out that safety protocols at the facility made such an accident virtually impossible. Alarms should have sounded. Warning lights should have flashed. Dr. Nguyen had worked there for 15 years and knew every safety system intimately. The laboratory specialized in researching dangerous animal diseases that could cross over to humans, the exact kind of knowledge that, in the wrong hands, could be weaponized. His death was quietly ruled accidental, and the investigation was closed. By early 2002, the pattern had become impossible to ignore. Dr. Ian Langford, a leading epidemiologist at the University of East Anglia in England, was found dead in his home on February 11, 2002. He was discovered naked, wedged under a chair in circumstances police called inexplicable. No clear cause of death was established. Just weeks later, on March 25th, Dr. David Wynne Williams, an astrobiologist studying how organisms survive extreme environments, was killed in a hit-and-run near his home in Cambridge, England. The driver was never found. The victims shared something beyond their expertise. They were connected to government-funded research programs, biological defense initiatives, or classified projects involving pathogen manipulation. Someone, it seemed, was building a kill list. The timing of these deaths was not random. They began in the immediate aftermath of the September 11th attacks and the 2001 anthrax attacks, when letters laced with weaponized anthrax spores were mailed to media offices and U.S. senators, killing 5 people and infecting 17 others. The anthrax was traced to a specific strain, the Ames strain, which had been developed and stored at Fort Detrick, Maryland, the U.S. military's premier biodefense installation. Many of the dead microbiologists had expertise directly relevant to analyzing and identifying such biological agents. Some had worked on anthrax vaccines. Others had classified knowledge of bioweapons programs that governments preferred to keep buried. The very people who could have identified the true source of the anthrax, and perhaps who weaponized it, were being eliminated. The FBI's investigation into the anthrax attacks, codenamed Amerithrax, would become the most expensive FBI investigation in history. For years, the Bureau pursued Dr. Stephen Hatfill, a biodefense researcher, naming him a person of interest and destroying his career, only for him to be completely exonerated and awarded a $5.8 million settlement. Then the FBI turned to Dr. Bruce Ivins, a senior microbiologist at Fort Detrick, who had spent decades developing anthrax vaccines. In 2008, just as the FBI was preparing to formally charge him, Dr. Bruce Ivins died from an overdose of Tylenol in what was ruled a suicide. He left no note. Many of his colleagues insisted he was innocent and being railroaded. With Ivins dead, the FBI closed the case, ensuring the full truth would never be tested in a courtroom. Researchers who dug deeper uncovered disturbing connections that linked many of the dead scientists to classified bioweapons programs around the world. Several had ties to Porton Down, Britain's secretive chemical and biological defense establishment in Wiltshire, England. Others had connections to Project Coast, South Africa's apartheid-era biological weapons program, which sought to develop pathogens that could target specific ethnic groups. Dr. David Kelly, a British weapons inspector and Porton Down advisor, was found dead in the woods near his Oxfordshire home on July 17, 2003, after publicly questioning the government's case for war in Iraq. His death was ruled a suicide from a slit wrist and an overdose of painkillers. But paramedics who found him said there was almost no blood at the scene, deeply inconsistent with the official narrative. By 2005, independent researchers had compiled a list of over 40 microbiologists, virologists, and epidemiologists who had died under questionable circumstances in just 4 years. The methods varied wildly. Car accidents, apparent suicides, stabbings, falls, hit-and-runs, even a supposed failed carjacking. But the victims shared strikingly specific expertise: biodefense, pathogen genomics, infectious disease modeling, and the human immune response. Statistically, the probability of this many experts in such a narrow field dying violently in such a short window is astronomically low. No government has ever conducted a comprehensive investigation into the pattern. No official has ever acknowledged it exists. The silence itself may be the most damning evidence of all. Because when the people who understand the deadliest weapons on Earth start dying, someone with immense power has decided that their knowledge is more dangerous than their silence. Over 40 of the world's top microbiologists dead in just a few short years. Accidents, suicides, murders, all conveniently explained away, one by one. If this investigation opened your eyes to a pattern that powerful people never wanted you to see, hit that like button and help this reach more people. Subscribe and ring the notification bell because the next video may expose even darker secrets hidden in plain sight.